I'm excited for Mark Martinez to get his season started. I just wish he was a little bit more enthusiastic. If he had a little more enthusiasm, I'd be encouraged for Aztec baseball. But no, Mark's done a great job, and excited to get the spring here and get baseball started. Obviously, everyone knows we have Wyoming tomorrow night. They're playing really good basketball right now. They have, to me, two potential first-team all-conference players in Hayden Dalton and James. Both of them are capable of scoring at any time on the floor. So they're going to draw special attention, and they have a great cast around them. So the Cowboys are playing well. The Aztecs need a win in the worst way. So it's good to be back home. This is the place to do it. We had a really good day of practice yesterday. Still banged up. Trey's going to try to get out on the floor a little bit for some shooting. He's done nothing live with the team in 2.5 weeks. So he's going to go out there and test it a little bit today. I don't know what that will mean. If he's 85%, 90%, how close he is to being back. But I know we need him, and when he's ready, we'll get him back. The team has worked extremely hard. They're excited to get back on the floor, especially here in Viejas, and try to put this losing streak behind us.
Hayden Dalton obviously had a very good game the first time you guys played. Are you planning on defending him any differently? I know he was really making all the shots that night. Is there anything you guys plan on doing differently to kind of limit him this time around? Yeah,
we're going to do some things to try to limit him, but some of the shots he shoots, you know, when he shoots the fall-away jump shot, the step backs, you know, the deep threes. In the last game we played him there, he even shot faked and tried to jump into us, and he didn't hit us, and he still threw it in. So he had a magical game. So we have to find a way to try to slow him down if he does get going. With that being said, James is also capable of putting up huge numbers. So they're a very dangerous offensive team. We know that. Vegas got ahead of them their last game, I think 20 points in the first half. Wyoming fought back to take a 1-point lead in the second half, and it was a real battle. So they're playing good basketball, and they'll be a real challenge tomorrow night.
Brian, are you stunned at all these double-digit losses based on the heritage of the program's defense?
Yeah, it's hard to take a loss like that, Lee. But when you play at Nevada, the best team in the conference, a nationally ranked team, and they get rolling downhill on you, it's tough to stop them. So we have to shoot better from the field. You know, in that game in particular, we shot 28% the second half, and so when you're missing that many, it gives them opportunities to run out. You know, so we didn't score enough to keep them from running us. So they did a good job, and they've done that to a lot of teams this year, obviously. You know, they're playing exceptional basketball. The Martin twins are really good. Caroline is playing great basketball, and you're looking at a veteran team. You know, they have 2 fourth-year juniors, 3 fourth-year juniors in the starting lineup. You know, so they've got a veteran team, and they got a 5th-year senior also starting. So they played like it. So it's tough to be young in this conference, and we're young at a couple positions, and I think they took advantage of that on us.
You haven't emphasized that a lot necessarily in these press conferences, but you do have to deal with the fact that you have a young team, right? And the impact of that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the season, you don't really look at them as freshmen, even though they are. You know, they've played enough games and had enough minutes where they have to make a step forward, continue to step forward. And they have for the most part, but at some level, you know, they're still freshmen. And so we want the best for them. We're demanding on them. But this is the longest season any of them have played. And so some of them are showing a little wear and tear, but they come to work every day. And so you still see that improvement. You still see that enthusiasm. But, you know, this is where you need your seniors to carry the team. And Malik is doing his best. But not having Trey out there at times hurts us. So this is the senior time of the year. And so I'll feel good when we get Malik and Trey both back on the floor together.
I guess, speaking of Malik, you know, these last 3 games, he hasn't exactly stepped up with a lot of points. How do you feel about how he's done in Trey's absence, and is Trey's absence a big part of what he's been doing?
You know, Malik played really, really hard at Nevada. I mean, he had 13 rebounds. But you have to realize when we run him into the low post, he attracts 2, 3, 4 people. And so at some level, he has to make some of those shots where you'd say, boy, that's a hard shot. So we allow him to take some of those, but also at the same time, he makes his best plays where he draws two defender and kicks it out. And so sometimes the points are there, and sometimes they're not based on what the defense does. If they put two people on him, then he has to make the right basketball play and move it. And so that's a challenge to Malik, knowing that everybody knows with Trey out that he's kind of the go-to guy inside, and then he draws double teams. And at that point, he has to move the ball out, and then we have to make the right play out of that. So Malik has played unselfish to a fault. He's tried to take what the defense has given him, and I'm real pleased with the leadership he's shown and the effort he's played with.
Coach, where's the confidence right now, the confidence level with the team?
Obviously, you know, they want to win games. And so I don't think it's as much confidence as frustration. You know, when you lose, you get frustrated. And so I think they're frustrated over losing. And the message we continue to preach and try to deliver is work hard, continue to grind, and believe that good things will happen. But just because you work hard and you're on that grind doesn't guarantee it. But if you don't grind, it'll guarantee you have no success. So they responded well to that. They come to work every day. They play for San Diego State first, and they put it all out there. And so the frustrating thing for them is when they're not rewarded for all that hard work. And that's anybody in any line of work. When you work hard, you want to be rewarded. But we all know that's not the case. The message is the culture of this program is hard work, and if we continue to work hard, in the end we will be rewarded. And so that's what we believe in. That's the message we deliver to them, and that's what they're putting out there every day.
Hey, Brian, over the next two games, what are some things that you would like to see happen on the floor where you know in your head you're saying, hey, that's a positive step. That's something that could lead to us turning it around. Anything specific that jumps out to you?
Probably more stops in the second half, defensive stops. You know, everybody knows the statistics. They're pretty well founded that the first half, when the team's in front of our bench, where we can help them through verbally with some defensive stuff, things they may not see, but the coaches see instantly, especially the younger guys, then we can help them through those stretches. But when they're at the far end, it's loud. They can't hear us, and they have to function on their own. At times, you know, they don't play at that same speed. They don't see things coming as quickly. And that's just all part of learning, you know. When you have one senior out there and everybody else underclassmen, sometimes that learning curve is a little longer. And so we're dealing, when they're away from us, with a little bit longer learning curve. So they're putting the effort in. They're working to get better. But when we let teams shoot 60%, 50% on us the second half, it's hard to win basketball games. And so I think we'll get there. But as a coach, it's never fast enough.
On the shooting, Brian, are you okay with the shot selection at this point? Or is it just that the selection's good, the shots are falling?
No, there's always a fine line there. You know, it all depends. You know, is an open shot a good shot? Well, if they're on a 6-0 run, maybe you don't want to shoot the first open look, even though it's an open look. And so you always walk that line as to time and score, when's a good shot, and when is it not. And so I thought when we got down to Nevada, like teams will do sometimes, we tried to get back into it too quickly. You know, we came down and we took the first open look, and maybe it was open, but maybe we needed to run a little bit more clock to slow their momentum down. And that's always the fine line you walk as a coach. And the one thing you can't do is getting guys questioning every shot they take. And sometimes that's a tendency when you're losing is, that's not a good shot, that's not a good shot, that's not a good shot. And pretty soon the team has lost all confidence to shoot the ball. And so we walk that line as coaches. They walk that line as a team. And we tried to show them that we watched the offensive entire game yesterday and tried to show them what we thought was a quality shot, what was not a quality shot. And that's what we teach to, you know. And I think they're receptive learners. They want to win more than anything. More than score, more than put up their own numbers, they want to win. And so they've always been great in the film room. They've been great on the court trying to please the coaches in order to win basketball games.
Obviously, it's harder to win on the road, but what do you think has been the main reason for your guys' road struggles thus far?
I think probably our defense. You know, we all know what it is. I mean, we know that we don't have shot blockers, and we have to try to take charges, more charges than we've taken. Because you make a mistake in the past, and that's a race to the rim sometimes with a shot blocker. We haven't had shot blocking this year. And so some people will say, well, they're not playing as good a defense. You know, we're playing hard on defense, and we're playing pretty good defense. I think we're second in the conference in two-point field goal percentage. So, but maybe by trying to keep a guy in front of us, we're giving up more threes because we know there's not a rim eraser. So some of our statistics are really good defensively, but some of them have hurt us. And it's the fine line when you watch teams make threes on you, you know, when they're banking two in or when they're throwing one up on a shot clock and they're going in. Sometimes you just say, man, that's tough luck. It's the ones where we know a guy's a good shooter and we're not contesting it. Those are the ones we teach to. But when they're making the ones that you say, wow, that's a really good shot, then sometimes you just have to tip your hat to the other team and say, wow, they're really playing well. And so that's always that fine line, is to teachable moments and then just saying, hey, tip your hat. That's a very good basketball play the other team made.
Is it odd? I mean, the metrics, you're allowing 42% shooting. That's pretty good with basketball, is it not, defensively?
Absolutely. That's a good percentage. But it's like I said, Lee, it's the second halves. You know, it's the 60% and at UNLV, the 50% at Fresno, the 50% at Nevada, you know. And like I said, that gets back to the fact where in the first half, is it that we're helping them? Is it, you know, because we're playing 8, maybe we're shorthanded, we're getting fatigued in the second half, maybe wearing down a little bit? You know, is that part of it? You know, it's a little bit of all that. And so as coaches, we sit there and we try to evaluate all that. We don't just say it's bad luck or we don't have this, we don't have that. We're trying to find ways to improve that. So whether it's mentally being stronger, whether it's physically trying to continue to condition at this time of the year, which is always a fine line. You know, are we running so much we're tired for the games, or are we not running enough where we're not in shape? And so that's a line every coach, you know, walks, is to the shape of your team. So I feel as if some guys could play like Jalen McDaniels just because of his body makeup and the way he is. He could probably play 40 minutes. Devin Watson's kind of that way, Jeremy. But then the guys like Malik that have been, you know, nursed injuries over their careers, and, you know, Matt Mitchell a little bit, you know, because of his size and strength, you know, they play as hard as they can. Maybe they need a little more rest, and that's for me to sit there and say who I need to rest when and where. And obviously not having Trey has hurt us. He's one more perimeter body that we miss. I mean, he guards at an elite level. He's probably our best passer off a ball screen. You know, he's just the fifth-year senior captain that has missed one game in 3 years due to illness, and now has missed parts or all of 8 games this year. So it's sad for Trey because he was in the best shape of his life coming into this season, and that's part of the frustration too. So you say next man up, but a year ago when the Chargers lost Keenan Allen, I don't think they said next man up. We lost an NFL All-Pro receiver. So I'm not saying Trey's Keenan Allen or he's not Keenan Allen, but when you lose a senior that's been a first-team all-conference player, it hurts the team. So everybody's worked hard in his absence, and they've played really well in his absence, but you miss a first-team all-conference player when you don't have him. That's obvious to everybody.
How good can this team be if Trey Kell comes back, is healthy, and plays at a high level going into the tournament and in the tournament?
That's the question. That's the million-dollar question. How good would this team have been last year had Malik Pope not missed 9 games? And so, you know, when you think back to those 17 games where Malik and Trey haven't been on the floor together, you wonder what the team could have been. So that's something that I don't obsess over. You know, all I try to do is say, who's available today? Let me put this team in the position to win the game. The best position I can put them in. But everybody knows that if you have your best players on the floor, your odds are far greater to win a basketball game. And so we're looking for that time, and hopefully it will be down the last 6 games, 5 games, whatever it is, where we can get our team on the floor and in shape together. You know, even though Trey may come back, he's missed 2.5 weeks. And then what did he miss before that with the thigh? And what did he miss before that with the ankle? So it's getting his game rhythm back. It's not just getting him out there. It's going to take a while to get his rhythm back. As much as he will help from being intelligent, getting a rhythm is going to take a little time too. So we're all playing for that conference tournament. And that's not to disregard the games we're playing now. We are working our butt off to try to win every game we play. But hopefully we will have our team together conference tournament time.
You have the top 4 teams in the conference are coming in here in the next 2 weeks, a chance to get some momentum and maybe rebuild the psyche, confidence?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Lee. I mean, we're 9-2 at Viejas. So we've had great success here. But we know we have the top of the conference coming in here. And that's exciting. You know, this is what you want. You want to have the best teams coming to you on your home floor in order to see where you're at going to the conference tournament. So it'll be a great measuring stick for us to try to beat these teams on our home floor. And if we do, to say we will see you in 3 weeks in Las Vegas in the conference tournament, knowing that we have some swagger going into that. So it's an exciting opportunity.
Coach, I've heard people say the Aztecs lack a true score. You know, guy can go out for 25, 30, whenever. Is your thoughts on that? And are those type of players developed, or does it just come natural to some?
You know, the natural scores are the ones like you don't have to run a play for them to score. They're going to go get 2 offensive rebounds. They're going to run in the fast break and find an open area, score. You know, they might get 8 to 10 points that way, and then all of a sudden you run plays for them and they have 20. So sometimes being a great scorer, you know, I tell our guys, when I call your number on a play, in all likelihood, the way basketball is scouted, you're probably not going to get a shot on that play. You're going to draw 2 defenders. Now you have to get the assist. And so the natural scorers are the ones that kind of manufacture their own points to a degree. And I remember back when we had Brandon Heath, he was the all-time league scorer in conference history up until Jimmer broke his record. And Greg Gottlieb used to say, we need to run more plays for Brandon. And I'd say, run plays for Brandon. He's leading the conference in scoring. He's finding his own ways to score. Now, we can run some plays for him, but he's a scorer. And so sometimes the scorer just finds a way to manufacture points. So it's on us to put them in good positions to do that, but it's also on them instinctually to find those opportunities within the game. And I like our scoring right now. I think we have, in conference, we have 4 starters in double figures. And that's like a lot of the great Aztec teams we've had. You know, I don't know if we've ever had a 30-point-a-game score or 28-point-a-game score. We've always had great balance. And so if you look statistically, we're up in the top 1 or 2 in the conference in a lot of stats, assists to turnovers, assists, but it just hasn't produced winning. And that's the frustrating part, when you play the right way and you share the ball and you can't get on the winning end. So our job as coaches is to continue to say, play the right way. You're going to be rewarded for that in the long haul. You know, don't fragment. Don't all of a sudden say, for us to win, I have to go out and try to manufacture 20 or 30 points myself. You know, you have to do it within the confines of what we're running. The opportunities are there. Continue to play the right way. And I think that's what we've done.
It is a tough thing, though, when you have some younger guys, right, who haven't experienced the upside of what you're talking about. They haven't been rewarded yet. And so I think the young guys, you know, they're really resilient. You know, they just come to work every day. I think the more frustrated guys are the seniors because they've tasted a conference victory. They've been to the NCAA tournament, and this is their last go. So they want to go now. You know, so Trey being injured is frustrating. Malik, you know, not putting up numbers because he's facing double teams is frustrating because they've been there. They've played in the NCAA tournament. They've got conference championships, and so they know this is their last run. So I think the young guys, they're always like, well, we want to be rewarded, but if we stay with this, it'll be this year or the next. You know, it's part of the culture. So do the right things and you'll be rewarded. And so hopefully it's this year for all of them. But our message is this is a program, this is a culture, this is the way we do things here. And so maybe we don't get rewarded every time we do it, but if we stay with it, we will be in the end.
Brian, I got an off-topic question. The NCAA Eligibility Committee is meeting today, tomorrow in Indianapolis to review the transfer rule. Are they seriously thinking about allowing transfers to play immediately? And does that open chaos? Does that open tampering if kids are allowed to leave programs without sitting out?
Yeah, the transfer rule. I mean, Lee, right now, 40% of the kids are transferring before the start of their junior years anyway. So if you let them be eligible instantly, are we talking 50, 60% of kids transferring every year? I mean, 40% are leaving having to sit a year. So if they don't have to sit a year, is that 50, 60%? And I said this before, this is just a culture of basketball. Whether it's good or bad, you could say it starts in the NBA, where guys leave franchises to try to put a super team together. Or in high school, where kids play for 2 or 3 different high schools in order to play basketball. Or summer league basketball, AAU basketball, where they switch teams 3 or 4 times. And so it's the culture. So if we give them less restriction, then I just think it will let these kids, if anything goes wrong or it's not 100% great all the time, I think a lot of them will cut and run. And I don't think that's good for basketball. I don't think it's good for the kid in the end. I think sometimes in order to enjoy the success in the end, you have to go through a little toughness and adversity in order to get to that point. So if you're constantly just chasing greener pastures, I don't think that's good for the kid. I don't think it's good for basketball.
What do you think they're going to do?
I've seen something from the Big 12 where they think if the coach gets fired or leaves, then those kids can go, immediately. So I think that's a little different look at it. Might give coaches more security where an administration may go, well, we haven't won for 2 years or 3 years. Let's get rid of the guy. But then they're going to say, wow, if we get rid of him, we're going to lose our whole team. Or if a coach takes another job, maybe that the team will leave, and then you're like, wow, that's tough on a team to lose a coach and have your team leave. So I don't think there's any easy answer to it. I just think it's concerning because these kids are leaving anyway. And that's my greatest concern that and I think it'll hurt basketball because you want to build continuity. You want some continuity to your program. So if you're flipping 40 or 50% of your roster every year, how do you get that continuity? How do you get that culture when all you're doing is basically signing free agents every year?